What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father at Amazon, Kindle, and Create Space. Link will be in the description box below as usual. Go get it. PayPal link there also. They asked me to put it up, so I put it up. Thanks everybody for supporting. This video is entitled How the Middle Class Can Make You Poor. How the middle class life can make you poor. You know, people come from poor neighborhoods and make it to the middle class, right? And I've said before, the middle class is the middle. So you're above the lower class if you're in the poverty class, but you're not in the upper class as in the rich class, right? But you're doing well. But it can make you poor because you might not want to stay in your financial comfort zone because you're in the middle class, you're working. So because you're working and you see a consistent paycheck coming, you're leveraging your future paychecks on the things you want. Instead of, slow boogie, working for what you have, earning a good living and living within your means as far as the cash part goes. And then you start overspending because you know I'm making this amount of money, so I can still pay that off. So you wind up accumulating debts because you're creating yourself to be a debt slave because as long as you're making a certain amount of money, you can pay those bills. But at some point, life can happen and that could choke you out, right? So you can go from middle class to poor because, you can get laid off or you can get hurt or just somebody else can get hurt and you got medical bills and stuff like that. Or you have to take time off because of things like that. Or sometimes you take on those things and to maintain your middle class lifestyle that you're trying to pseudo make an upper class lifestyle, you're going to work overtime a lot. And you're going to work so much overtime that you might wind up working yourself into the ground physically and mentally for stuff. And then it catches up with you. And because it catches up with you, it puts you in a predicament of illness or sickness that is going to push you back into the lower class because you've accumulated so many bills. But now if you're not working these amount of hours, you don't have the money. So you're really living paycheck to paycheck in a nice area. Just it's nothing. I mean, that's what happens. That happens to rich people too. They do the same exact thing. This is how rich people wind up going broke, actually. You're trying to give your kids the life that you never had. And what winds up happening is you spoil them and then they become entitled and you think you're going to work and spin your way out of it in hopes that they'll get it together. And now you overextend yourself financially for an entitled child, even all the way through adulthood, and you wasted money trying to make sure that they got all the opportunities they need. But guess what? You gave them all the things you didn't have, so they don't have the work ethic and the hunger to make something of themselves. So now you've pretty much wasted a lot of cash, maybe even some of your retirement, maybe even some of the equity in your home on a frivolous endeavor because you wanted the best for your child. You never taught them how to fish, really. So you spent a lot of your own capital to get them ahead in life and they went nowhere. And now you went from the middle class to poverty or to the lower class. You're giving yourself everything that you didn't have in your childhood. Every time something comes on TV, you're feeding that, I couldn't get that as a kid, so now I'm buying it as an adult. And then you become a pack rat, a hoarder. You have a home, apartment, a townhome full of useless stuff that you just bought because you were being impulsive. But now all of those things add up. And now you've wasted a lot of money on worthless items just because. And now you know, in poverty. Of course, the classic is you want to keep up with the Joneses. The Joneses got more money than you. So keeping up with the Joneses got you broke. But you still may have access to where you live at. So you might go back to your old neighborhood that may be poor, and you still look like you're doing better than those people in that neighborhood, but you're not. You know, you about to be you don't want to go back to that old neighborhood because people might talk about you, right? So you got to go somewhere else. You know, from middle class to poverty. I've seen this happen a time or two. Divorce. You know, people grow apart, or people feel like I'm gonna cash out, and then they get divorced. And when they get divorced, what happens? They go from the middle class to the lower class because they wind up having to split up a lot of assets. And you know, somebody's a winner, somebody's a loser in the middle class, right? And even that, like even the person that wins and gets a lot of assets, they go from the middle class to the lower class because normally you're getting the assets from the person who was primarily the breadwinner. So all you're doing is prolonging living the lifestyle you did when you were married, but you can't afford taking care of yourself the way that they did. Thus, on both ends, you wind up going back to the lower class and the poverty, you know, because of divorce. College. And it's part of, like, you know, raising the kids and entitling them and this, that, and the third. You send your kids to college and they don't have a plan. And you're partially on the hook for them not having a plan. So now, because they don't have a plan, and the rising cost of tuition, they want to go to a certain place and you're cool with it because you like, get your education, but you know, it's okay to go to junior college or go to community college for your first 2 years, and then the last two, go to a major university, because the degree is still going to be the same at the end of the day. If you're going to save money, it's cool. Or, you know, they want to go to the college out of state, and it's costs way more than doing it in state. That experience is a problem, you know. And then we got, you know, family who are always in need of something, and they nickel and dime you into not having a life anymore. If you don't say no, if you can't say no, if you have a problem with saying no, then you're gonna wind up in poverty, trying to help everybody, and nobody is in a position to help you. You know, that's how you can go from the middle class to poverty. Now, also, the other thing is, how can I put this? Some people start businesses and leverage their houses, and the business fails and they lose their house. That happens. Other people want to renovate and do this, that, and the third, and nothing is good enough. And on their middle class salary, they always want to make something better and better and better, like home improvements, to the point where they put themselves in a bind, and then You don't take care of the things in your home properly. You keep breaking them and having to fix them, and you fixing things over and over again until you wind up going broke, and it's not worth it anymore. You just get aggravated. But you got to learn how to take care of your own stuff. You know, same thing with people reckless driving, car wrecks. Higher insurance, this, that, and the third. Uh, you know, and I will say this: drugs and alcohol. They're both drugs, but you know that'll get you from the middle class to poverty because you get so fixated on the drugs or any other vice that you wind up spending more on the vice than you should, and it breaks you mentally, spiritually, and financially. So I'm done with this one. Catch you on the next one. Like, share, subscribe. Peace.